What's going on today, guys? Man, I'm here, LSU Recruiting HQ, another episode, another day. Today is a dark day because LSU last night was eliminated in the round of 32 against the Michigan Wolverines. Can't say enough about the effort that LSU gave last night. It was a great game to watch, very entertaining game. Lots of offense, of course. You always get that with LSU. And Michigan is the real deal, man. They have a deep team. It's definitely not just 1 through 5 with them. They can score with anybody, it looks like, and LSU just came up just a little short, a couple of possessions here and there. So today we're gonna go dive in deep to break down what happened during the game, and we're gonna talk about it. If you guys like the video, make sure you drop a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you guys think about the game or anything. Just let me know. Alright, so this game started off fast for LSU, man. LSU got off to a big start. Cam Thomas didn't miss, his first four shots. First four shots went in, and he was on fire. And at one point, he had more points than Michigan did total in the first half. So LSU ended up going up 9 at a point in the first half. But Will Wade later said in his press conference, he was saying, a lot about, hey, we couldn't contain what we were doing, that we just kept letting them come back and make runs. And basketball is a game of runs like that, so you really can expect stuff like that. But it was one of those things where LSU would just pull out in front, 6 or 7 points, and then they let Michigan come back, tie it up, or take the lead, and they were just going back and forth. But the point that really changed in the game, I feel like, was the 10-minute mark of the second half. From that point forward, LSU definitely was outscored in over double digits and they just couldn't get a shot to go in. The shot selection was not great, but I mean, this is what they've been doing all year. They play this ISO ball. It's my turn to shoot game, and I mean, you really can't complain. In some games it has hurt us, but I mean, you're the sixth most efficient offense in the nation, so why change what you're doing? A lot of that stems from Javonte Smart, as much as I like him as a player, he's not a true point guard. He's a scorer. I mean, and we seen that last night. He had a great second half, which will bring me to another point, which is Cam Thomas. Why are we driving the ball into three players, throwing up these hero shots, and why is Javonte Smart not taking most of these shots at the end of the game? It seems like they didn't really have much of an answer for him in the second half, so I was a little confused by that. I understand that Cam Thomas has been your guy all year, but at that point, Javonte Smart seemed to have the hot hand, and they kind of went away from him. Also, Trendon Walford was nowhere to be found in the second half. Did get into some foul trouble, and eventually fouled out of the game, but 4 for 11, only 11 points, 4 rebounds. And he had a bad day at the free throw line as well, going 3 for 8, which really, I mean, if you look at that, if he goes 6 for 8, we're talking about a different game at some point. So it's the little things, I just felt like the last 10 minutes of the game, LSU just couldn't get a stop when they needed to. They weren't scoring at the efficiency they were. I believe at the 10-minute mark it was 51 to 46, so they were up 5. And then from that point forward, I felt like Michigan just dominated the game on offense. I mean, they hit a couple big threes to get back to tied, and then once LSU started missing some shots, it was just one of those things where they just couldn't get enough stops. They just couldn't get enough stops to stay in the game competitively. Also, another thing, that reared its head last night, is these guys on the bench, man. I mean, LSU all year has relied on 4 guys to score the basketball. The stats with Darius Days. If he scores 10 points or more, they've lost 1 game. So obviously he didn't get double-digit points last night. He only finished with 6, but he hit the first 3 of the game. So it was looking like it was going to be one of those games where it's like, all right, Darius Days is going to show up, but really was taken out of the game after that. Didn't get into foul trouble. He was just kind of a background player, and you don't want to see that kind of stuff from one of your star players. But all season, really, they've relied on this 4-man system to get all their points. Last night, 74 of their 78 points came from Wofford, Days, Thomas, and Smart. So Hyatt had 2, and LeBlanc, I believe, had 2. So, I mean, you're not getting much production from anybody else, which, I mean, if you looked at the first round game, Hyatt had a double-double, but everybody's saying he had a double-double. He only had a double-double because he was grabbing offensive rebounds and getting putbacks. So it's not like there was, they were creating shots for him. Like last night, Michigan was letting him shoot whenever he wanted. I mean, that was their game plan, was to double whoever they wanted to. But Cam, like I said, Cam Thomas had a big first half, and a very disappointing second half. He goes through these spells where, he just starts firing up shots, and I feel like he starts forcing things. So, and then that was definitely what they were doing. One thing I noticed about the defensive change they made with Cam Thomas, they were kind of letting him shoot jumpers in the first half, and he was starting to knock them down. And so what they did is they were forcing him to drive. They wanted him to drive, and then they brought everybody to help on that side. And once the help came, he kind of got caught because he never let's be honest, he never passes out of those types of plays. So they were literally just baiting him to drive, and he did it several times, and he just drove into. And then my opinion on the referees is they've had a great first half. They had a horrible second half, but that is not why LSU lost the game. When you're driving into 3 people and you're that out of control, I mean, sometimes you don't deserve a foul call, even if you do get fouled, because there's no need for that. I mean, you have 3 guys that are wide open at that point, so you can just easily kick it and swing it around and find a better shot. But I really think the game changed. Wofford had a decent first half, was getting buckets in the paint, and they really hammered down on the physicality of Michigan. They're bigger, stronger than us, and they really showed that in the second half, and they really beat us up in the paint. And Wofford just couldn't get anything going in the paint in the second half. I thought LSU did a really good job on the Dickerson guy, the 7-footer from Michigan. He only had 12 points, but they did a great job doubling him. I was a little surprised that a guy like Josh Gray didn't play, being that he's 6'11" or whatever, and he's a bigger frame guy. I figured that maybe he would get a little bit of minutes last night, but I mean, they ended up handling that very well, and they Coach Will Wade said in the press conference, like, he wanted to spread the floor and keep Days on the floor, being that he wasn't in foul trouble. They were spreading the floor, being able to create more space on offense, and it worked for a long period of time. But like I said, I mean, LSU ended up shooting 40%, 39.1%, which isn't great. I mean, but all year we've been talking about is this defense is when they want to play and when they don't want to play. When they want to play, they can play good defense. They've showed that. They've proved that they can do that. But when they get lackadaisical and they start watching the ball and they start giving up back cuts and just open drives to the lane, and it gets them into foul trouble, and it also gives up easy shots. I mean, they're kicking it out to these guys, and these guys from three-point range weren't missing. They shot 40% from 3. You can't ask for much more than that. LSU shot 28% from 3. And Javonte Smart was 2 for 10 from 3. He shot, obviously, most of the threes. Cam Thomas actually had a really good game from three-point range. He was 3 for 5. So I really thought at that 10-minute mark when things were going downhill, LSU was already in the bonus. I thought at that point in time, that's when they needed to get the ball in the Smart's hands, and you need to drive or do this pick-and-pop game with Days that they just get away from. That's some of their most efficient plays is when Days is setting the pick and he's just rolling to the three-point line, and they're playing that pick-and-pop game. Because if you can get Days engaged in the game, he's a great player, but it's those games where he just sits in the background that you sit there and you're frustrated because he's a high-level guy, and you really need him to succeed in this game. So it was one of those things. LSU ended up finishing the season 19-10. And I'm sure you can go back and look at most of their losses, and you can see what the problem was. It was their defense. All season, defense and defensive rebounding was their problem, which is kind of crazy because most teams that are a great offensive rebounding team are a great defensive rebounding team, but it was the complete opposite. LSU was a great offensive rebounding team, a terrible defensive rebounding team. And in March, man, when these teams get a good head on their shoulders and they're focused on stopping you and what you do bad, they're focused on exploiting that. It really rears its head in March, and that's really what you've seen in the last 10 minutes of the game. Michigan's a great team, and they weren't just gonna be intimidated because we had better athletes, because they know that they were much more well prepared. I don't want to get on the Will Wade, we need a change type thing. You can't. This basketball program hasn't been this good in a long time consistently. You go back to the Final Four run in the 2000s, but I mean, after that, it's been constantly. I mean, this man, without last year being canceled, this would have been his third straight NCAA appearance, the best conference record over those 3 years, with 50-something wins in conference. So you're winning games in your conference. You're finishing at the top of your league every year. You're making the tournament. You really can't complain. I mean, what are our expectations for LSU at this point in their basketball? Yeah, this Will Wade has brought this culture to where we expect to win now, but you can't sit here and look me in the eye and say, hey, what were we doing in the past? This is something that's brand new to us. We made it to the Sweet 16 in 2019. Last year wasn't a great team. I wouldn't have expected them to make it to the Sweet 16 if they did. If I know they were going to make the tournament, but I didn't expect much from them in the tournament. It was just kind of one of those we were just happy to be there type thing. But this year, I think the beginning of the year expectations kind of led to some of this stuff. You bring in a guy like Thomas, you have Wofford, Smart, and Days coming back. You're hoping that maybe you can get some production from your bench, but you really just never did all season, and you can't beat these teams. You can't win enough games in a tournament with 4 guys as your main scorers. You have to have some type of production for when your guys have bad games, and like I said, Wofford had a bad game, Days had a bad game, so it's 2 guys really just carrying the load for the team. And if they have a bad 4-minute stretch where they're not making shots, that's a 10-point swing in college basketball, which ended up being the difference in the game. So moving on to that, looking forward to next year with this basketball team. Not sure who would be returning. I doubt you get Cam back. I doubt you get Wofford back, and Smart is a senior, so most likely Days is the only player coming back from that big 4 that they had this year. So it'll be a big turnaround, and the recruiting class this year isn't, star-studded like it's been. So you really got next year we'll be able to see really what Will Wade can do as far as coaching and scheming. I got a feeling defense is going to be the focus next year, and trying to shore that up just a little bit. If you can you're the 6th best offense in the nation. If you can just be top 100 in defense, you're probably one of the best teams in the nation. So it's always going to be an offensive background for Will Wade. So hopefully they can get it right. Hopefully they can take care of all that stuff in the off season. It's been a fun season. Definitely weird with the COVID stuff going on, but I'm glad to see that LSU is having sustained success in basketball, and I hope you guys are too, because as bad as it hurts today that we lost, this program is definitely trending up in the right directions, and I see us eventually becoming one of the staples in the NCAA tournament and becoming a regular thing, and then eventually maybe we can make a run in this tournament. But it's been a great year for this team, and I couldn't be more proud of the effort they gave last night. It was a big time performance on a big stage, and I feel like if they wouldn't have got an 8 or 9 seed, they probably would have done a little bit better. I still don't understand how teams like Clemson and Florida got 7 seeds and LSU was stuck with the 8 seed. But like I said, that eventually you gotta play all these teams anyway, so it's not you don't get a trophy for making it to the Sweet 16, but it is nice for your program to boost up, saying, hey, we made it 2 Sweet 16s in the last 2 tournaments we've been in. So, but can't say that. Like I said, stats from the game: Cam Thomas 30 points, 10 for 23 from the field, Started off the first half great. 7 for 7 from the free throw line for him. Played all 40 minutes. Smart also played 40 minutes. He was 10 for 23 as well. Shot 2 for 10 from 3-point range. 27 points. Almost had a triple dub. Like, can you believe that? Javonte Smart almost had a triple double. He had 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. And like I said, I think Smart played a great game last night. One of his better games in an LSU uniform. So I look for these guys to make an impact, going into the league. I mean, probably not high draft picks. If I'm a NBA scout, I tweeted this last night too, and if I'm an NBA scout, I'm looking at Cam Thomas. I'm saying, hey man, if you can fix up a couple things, if you can play better defense and not just stand around on offense when you don't have the ball, and if you can learn how to turn that 2 for 23 into 2 for 7, or 10 for 23 into 10 for 17 and 4 assists. Listen, we're talking big money, talking about top 10 pick, lottery pick money. If you can play some defense, move without the ball, show that you just don't stand in the corner when it's not your turn to shoot. If you can create plays like, hey, obviously I score 25 points a game, I'm going to draw a lot of attention on offense, so I'm going to drive and I'm going to kick out to my buddy who's wide open. He's going to knock down this 3. If you can have 4 assists, 5 assists a game, not much, all right, and then you can shore up some of these bad shots, you're looking at top 10 money, dude. I'm telling you, bro. Now, personally, I don't think he's coming back. He's not the type of player I don't think he's coming back. I think he has that grinded out mentality. He's a gymaholic, and he's going to go to the G League, and he's going to ball out. And I made the prediction last night as well that he's going to win G League MVP next year if he gets drafted, or if he goes into the draft. Because this man is a bucket, and they don't play defense in the NBA till the fourth quarter. So this man could give you 40 in 3 quarters. I mean, easily. So it's one of those things. Wofford, I don't know how he translated to being a pro. I'm not going to lie to you. He's kind of undersized for the position he plays, but he has a good handle for the ball. But the kind of shots he takes, I don't know how that'll work in the NBA. Those little turnaround floaters you can't just back a dude down in the NBA and just turn around, float over the top of him like you can in college when you have guys that are undersized. Javonte Smart, I mean, I don't know. With him, it's so hit and miss. If he can continue to grow as far as passing the basketball and being able to become a point guard instead of more of a 2 guard kind of guy, then you could see the potential there. But I don't know how that's gonna work either. But that's going to wrap up today's show. Don't forget, if you're seeing this, today's Tuesday. Don't forget we got a big baseball game tonight. Big rivalry back facing LSU Baseball is facing Tulane after dropping the series to Mississippi State. So this will be a big momentum swing right here if we can win this big-time weekday matchup versus Tulane and then head off to Knoxville this weekend and win that series against Tennessee. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and it's been fun. I know it's been a while since I've been on here. And make sure, if you haven't already, make sure you like and make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't, if you want to get live updates and stuff. We're going to be start doing a lot more with this channel, so hopefully you guys will tune in and check everything out. All right, man. Thank you guys for watching.